could come from that as well?
No, for us, I think it's more favorable when the stages are hard. So today is, I think, it's a stage that we look where we have good chances to win the stage.
It's a 50-50 chance of a bunch sprint, one of the final ones before we head to the Pyrenees, or a good day for the breakaway, particularly with the opening part of the stage. What is it that what's your strategy? Is it to make sure you'll help to control breakaways with other sprinters' teams?
Not directly, because I mean we have also strong guys like Simon and Kobe Gozes that can go in the break. And to be honest, I think everybody saw yesterday the mountain stage. I think there will be no mountain stages where the break will go to the finish. So that automatically promotes these kind of stages to maybe the only one stages that the break can go to the finish. So I think we are in for a hard start, and if we can put a guy in the break, we do that. If we have to sprint, we sprint. I don't see directly reasons to control, but again, if Vini feels good, we can also control.
Ultimately, whatever the outcome, if you have a rider in the breakaway or it comes to a sprint, you're in one of the strongest positions of any team.
Yeah, that is the luxury of where we are now. All options are good, and that's how we now approach it.
Thanks a lot, Eike. Best of luck today.
A luxury, and that is pretty rare to be in that position at this stage of the Tour de France. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, the news through that Primož Roglič retained his time because of that crash occurring yesterday within the last 3 kilometers, so he's 2 minutes and 15 seconds off the lead of Tadej Pogačar at the moment. Ready to go out and do battle once again. So to our Tour de France stories, and Mathieu van der Poel going around, and maybe a precursor to a future profession for him as a tattoo artist. Well, Bardet corner was something to behold yesterday, and Romain Bardet loved it. Great emotion there, great emotion here for Team Visma Lease Bike at the end of the stage. One spectrum of emotion to the others, as we just saw in our review of the stage. Fred Wright, timed out, but still bravely finishing the stage. Little insight here from DSM firm Postal NL. Tom Scoinch, you know it's been a fast day when you finish 25 minutes down, but still within the fastest predicted time. It was a very fast stage indeed, and the majority of it down to the fact that it was racing from the off, desperate to get into breakaway, and when the breakaway did form, it was only ever allowed to just over 2 minutes out in front. As a consequence, no surprise that it was reeled in by the GC contenders, and Remco Evenepoel finished down on his 2 main rivals, but still currently sits in second place. Let's go down to Hannah.
Stage 12 of the Tour de France could be a chance for the breakaway, but it could also be a great opportunity for the sprinters before we head to the Pyrenees. Mauro Gianetti, these days are always quite stressful for the general classification teams. It's not an easy day or a day off.
No, in the Tour de France we never have a day off, you know. Maybe sometimes we are more stressed for the flat stage like today compared to the mountain stage, because in the mountain is just the guy with better legs, more power, he will be in front and is not risky. The stage like today is open to many opportunity. Breakaway, sprinter, small road in the final, maybe also crosswind. So is open to any kind of tactic by 22 teams. And for us as a team leader, we need to be in a good position to save energy if it's possible. But the most important is to keep a good position far from the risky area, because in case of crash, if you are too much behind, the peloton will be broken and you need to come back. So you know how it's working. It's quite a stressful day.
A stressful day, but an important one to make sure you're up towards the front, keeping the yellow jersey out of any trouble. Tadej Pogacar will want to make sure he remains safe before heading into the Pyrenees. Mauro Gianetti, best of luck today. Thanks very much. And today, it could be one for the sprinters or one for the breakaway.
Something like that. It really is.
Well, everyone sitting on the fence today, not wanting to say whether it's going to be one for the sprinters or whether it's going to be one for the breakaway. So much will depend on what happens in the opening 50, 60 kilometers. How quickly will a breakaway be allowed to establish itself? How quickly will the peloton lock that down? It was such a hard day's racing yesterday, and real shots fired between Pogacar and Vingegaard. A stage yesterday that looked as though it was very much more suited to Pogacar, and even when it got down to that two-up sprint, you would have backed him 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10 if previous history was to be looked into, but it was Vingegaard who held on for a remarkable win. The countdown is over. The Départ Fictif is underway here in Aurillac as stage 12 of the 111th Tour de France gets underway. Rain clouds have given way to sunshine, and the riders set off over halfway through the tour now. So today Pogacar still in the yellow jersey, Biniam Girmay in green. Jonas Abrahamsen wears the polka dots today, but it is Pogacar who's now in the lead in the King of the Mountains jersey standings, and Remco Evenepoel remains in the white. Let's head back down to the start and hear the words of Frans Maassen.
Frans Maassen, last night, how were the celebrations within the team after the victory yesterday?
Very good. It was a long time ago that we won some races. It was actually the win of Koi and of course the Hungarian Championships, but we needed a win, yes, but we didn't expect the win yesterday, not at all.
Must have given the team so much confidence, but I have to ask, how is Wout van Aert after the crash yesterday? Because he said that he's got some deep cuts, some deep wounds.
Yeah, you always feel it when you crash in the tour. It doesn't help you the next day and the next days. So, but he was quite optimistic at the breakfast and also in the bus. But he will be stiff in the race, and expect a small challenge to get over it. But in the first moment, it looks quite okay.
How can we anticipate today's stage to go? Because it's almost a 50-50 between the breakaway, the sprinters, but of course for Visma Lease bike, you need to keep yourself out of trouble, keep yourself out of the chaos.
Yes, we don't pull for a sprint today, so that's obvious. But I don't know who wants to go for a sprint. Maybe Alpecin, they sure want to go for it, but not, I think, so many teams who want to go for a sprint today. So I give a bike a chance.
How much confidence did yesterday give to Jonas Vingegaard and the whole team in taking that victory?
A lot, of course, but still we are 1 minute 15 back on maybe the best rider of the world. So it's not easy job to beat this guy. We did yesterday, but yeah, gives of course a boost. But it will be a challenge to take some seconds back in the next week, and it's not easy. But on the other hand, we have a lot of confidence to do a good job.
Thanks, Frans. Best of luck today.
It's an extraordinary way to look at it. It was definitely a body blow from Jonas Vingegaard on Tadej Pogacar yesterday. But when you look at the bare facts, all he has managed to pick up is 1 second on his main rival. And he still sits in the official timings at 1 minute and 15 seconds down on the Slovenian leading the race. And as a consequence, yeah, it's going to be very hard work to claw back that remaining minute and 15 seconds, and they will have made their plans as to where that is going to happen. They will be hoping to strike further blows in the Pyrenees and then into that final week, and we could head into a battle royale showdown on that final stage time trial into Nice. So the départ fictif is underway. Some plaster on the underside of the knee there for Primož Roglic. Stage 12 of the Tour de France. Aurillac to Villeneuve-sur-Lot, 203.6 kilometers on today's stage. And a few days ago, we saw a remarkable victory from Anthony Turgis. We caught up with him down at the start about today's stage.
Anthony, un réveil pas très
Well,
agréable, j'imagine, ce matin.
Anthony,
On a appris que 11 vélos de
this
l'équipe
might
avaient
not
été
be
volés.
nice. We just found out that
Ouais, c'est sûr,
11
c'est-
bikes from your team had
c'est
been
top,
stolen
voilà,
overnight.
faut
Yeah,
savoir qu'on
for
a
sure.
fait
It's
des
not
vélos
great.
et
Luckily, we do have a lot of bikes.
c'est pas très
But it
agréable,
doesn't feel
surtout
nice
là, c'est
because
des vélos quand même
they
qui sont
are
vraiment à nos
our
côtes, et
size.
à
So
partir de là,
we
quand on
will
change
face
de
some
vélo,
issues
on
today.
va
We
avoir
hope
des
we won't
petits
have
soucis,
any
donc,
issues and that
on espère
some
que,
bikes will
on
arrive
aura pas de
soon. I
problème là-dessus,
only have
que,
one bike
les
left, so
vélos sont
if I have a
en route
mechanical
pour,
problem, I will have to
compléter ça.
take
Moi, j'en ai
somebody
plus
else's,
qu'un,
and
donc si
that's
j'ai un problème mécanique,
definitely
je prendrai
not
un vélo de
ideal for
donc,
sure.
c'est pas l'idéal, c'est sûr.
On avait lu que vous aviez.
We read
votre vélo
that
et
your
votre autre
main
avait été volé.
and your spare bike
Oui,
were
c'est ça,
both
mon premier
stolen.
vélo et mon second.
Yep,
donc,
my first bike and my
après,
second one were stolen.
je sais pas ce qu'ils
I
vont en
don't
faire,
know
mais
if
bon,
they'll
on
be
sait
able
que
to
beaucoup de
use
choses
them.
est
They have
numérotées, et
series
puis,
numbers on them, so I have
et
no
donc,
clue
pour
what
eux,
they'll be able to
je
do
peux
with them.
pas,
As
je
long
sais
as I
pas
have
ce qu'ils
one
vont
left
faire,
to
donc,
continue,
voilà,
though,
je me
I
pose
will
la
stay
question,
focused
j'en ai
on the
encore un pour
race.
continuer, donc à partir de là, on reste focus sur la course.
Ça change rien pour vous.
So
Ouais,
it
c'est-
doesn't change anything
C'est un petit
for
grain de
you.
Celui avec lequel vous avez gagné
Was it the
dimanche.
one you won on
Oui, c'est ça,
Sunday?
donc voilà,
Yeah, that's correct.
c'est
I
comme
took
ça.
back
Moi,
the
j'ai
bike
récupéré
that
le
I
vélo
had
que
at the
j'avais,
start of the
début de
season,
saison,
so
donc
I
je l'ai roulé
already
avec,
rode
je
with
l'ai
it,
récupéré,
and
donc,
it's done some kilometers already. Should
je
be
fais
fine.
comme ça.
Et le sprint, vous ferez aussi.
Will
Sprint, il y
you
a
take part in the
six
sprint if it
petits
ends
villages,
up in a sprint?
j'essaierai,
If there is a
de
sprint,
participer,
I'll try to take
forcément,
part in it.
je
I am
pensais
well
au
positioned
maillot-
to play out
pour le
for
maillot
the
vert,
green
donc,
jersey, so I'll
voilà,
try to
j'essaie
get points wherever I
de
can.
prendre des points comme
We'll
ça
see
un
how it
petit peu,
goes
et puis,
later.
on va
I
voir
just
si
need
c'est
to honour the
plus tard,
tour
mais
and
on doit
fight
faire honneur
for
au
the
tour,
green
et quand on fait
classification.
partie d'un classement, on doit essayer de le faire.
Merci beaucoup, Anthony. Bonne chance.
Well, Mark Cavendish lost Mikhail Murko overnight. He is a non-starter. We'll have more news on that, I'm sure, in a few moments' time. But a big blow for Mark Cavendish. When interviewed a couple of days ago at the end of the stage, he was asked how many more stages realistically could he target to win. And he said one, maybe two, but probably one. But he didn't give away which one that was. He did say there were the matter of the mountains to come. Here are our jersey holders. Well, jersey wearers, I should say, because Jonas Abrahamsen is currently second in the Mywhoosh, but Tadej Pogacar is now in the lead in the King of the Mountain standings. Pogacar in yellow still, Biniam Girmay in that green jersey, and there will be a battle for the points today in the points classification, and then Remco Evenepoel still in white. 25 degrees centigrade, the wind at an absolute minimum. Bit of humidity out there, there's been a little bit of rain, and we may see some more on today's stage. But for now, the weather seems relatively pleasant. 3 kilometers to go until the official start. Pavel Sivakov, birthday boy today, 27 years of age. The important members of that UAE Team Emirates lineup will be looking to propel Tadej Pogacar to a 3rd victory in the Tour de France. His main rival, Jonas Vingegaard, looking somewhere near back to his best, winning that sprint yesterday and giving his team their first tour stage of this year's tour. It is looking quite relaxed, but we're expecting the early racing to be anything but when the flag is waved by Christian Prudhomme. So, as we come past the aéroport d'Aurillac-Tronquière, let's go over and join our commentators, Sean Kelly and first, Colton Kirby.
Who's going to take flight today? That is the big question. Will it be a break? Will it be a sprint? Some of the sprinters, quite frankly, could, after yesterday, plying their trade through the mountains, just surviving really when you get to the high grounds. Well, today is supposed to be a showcase for them. However, we're asking questions of Biniam Girmay, his own team saying that, quite frankly, they want to be part of a breakaway. Zimmerman, will he be their first pick? Let's wait and see. So many other teams as well, desperate to get something out of this race. If you haven't got a fast man, then you need to pick the breakaway days, with the GC battle now raging between two very close superstars in Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar. So today, what lays ahead? We don't know, and that's what is so magnificent about this year's race. Every time you try and predict something, it gets turned upside down. Prediction is what it's all about, though, for some. Let's find out our predictor, shall we?
And we have a new leader. The predictor's been reshuffled after yesterday's stage. Only Alberto and Ilenia scored points thanks to Tadej Pogacar. Now our Italian expert at the top of the standing, 6 points ahead of our Spanish one. What will they say today? My favourite for today's stage win is Biniam Girmay. I think we have already seen how good his shape is on this tour. Sometimes he finishes, when they're finishes that are slightly uphill, they suit him better than the rest of the sprinters, so I think he can get some points, and why not take the stage win? For me, it'll be Biniam Girmay. Steve Chanel said a 3rd finish in Villeneuve-sur-Lot. The first 2 times a breakaway took the win, but today Jasper Philipsen will win in the sprint. You saw yesterday's standings? They're all in the Gruppetto, so a bit of a rest day for them. Today he'll be tying with Biniam Girmay 2-2. It's Jasper Philipsen. Stage 12, says Ilenia. My choice is going to be the best sprinter, or at least the one in the best shape, which is Biniam Girmay. Even if he doesn't always have the best lead out, he manages to score points for the green jersey. He's really motivated. I'm convinced he'll also try in this sprint to be at the front. So, Biniam Girmay. So, 2 Girmay and 1 Philipsen so far, but 5 other picks for the Belgian. All our other experts chose the rider from Alpecin de Koning to win today. Will the majority be right?
Thank you, John. Mokohala, a note there. Sean, we've had a few troubles, have we not? Even before we start today. In fact, the attrition rate is starting to pick up, isn't it?
It is, and it's expected because the way they've been racing all through this one, and yesterday was a hectic day, and crashes, sickness setting in, of course, taking a lot of riders out yesterday, so the numbers are starting to increase in that category. And yeah, we did see 2 days ago there were, end of the first week, a very little amount of abandons, but it's starting to build.
Monsieur Prudhomme, the head of the race, calling everyone to order, and it seems we're in position for the flag. Maybe a couple of stragglers he's just waiting for at the moment. Hasn't albatrossed just yet. In fact, we're all good to go. And will it be a flyer? Interesting to see Abramson up towards the front. We've got a couple of intermediate climbs along the way here with the Haute-Trois and the Roche Mador. We also have an intermediate sprint today to tempt those who would indeed look for points in that classification, which at the moment Guimai leads by a margin of 74. And despite all the talk of a possible breakaway today, just one solo rider is testing them, Sean. This is not going to be enough for that.
Well, I don't know if it will stay like that for long. We can see Kevin Gignes there from Groupama. It looks like he's going off the front, but there will be a lot of teams who want to get into this breakaway, and there is the terrain for that. The first 70 kilometers are difficult, very up and down, and after that is still a difficult stage here, quite a lumpy one. And we did hear from our experts and from the DSs, a lot of people saying it could be a breakaway, but our predictors saying that a lot of the sprinters are in there, so it looks like that it's a 50-50 at the moment, and that is the case with this stage. But yeah, we will see, I think, quickly there who will be interested in the breakaway.
John, you've got to quickly tell us about this. It looks like something Asterix might be involved in.
Well, we've seen a number of Asterixes, haven't we, as we've been going around so far. This is the Chateau de Verrières. We're going to be going past so many of them. It's one of those, beautiful chateaux initially built as a place to defend, and then has slowly but surely over the years evolved into becoming a stately home. The interior of that chateau, not open to visitors, but they are allowed to walk around the grounds and admire the building.
How lovely. This not so lovely if you happen to be on your own for our sole breakaway rider at the moment. I'm not quite sure whether he was the original battle plan for the day, long before we actually got to this position, but there's so many tired legs out there that why not? There's, with Clément Rousseau, the only sprint option for Groupama France Leisure, Kevin Gignes, the Luxembourg champion, has gone off up the road. Thought it might be someone like Stefan Kung for today, somebody who could really churn a gear, but not that Kevin Gignes can't do precisely that. Just a bit of link issue at the moment with cameras down on the ground. We have got some rain around. We had moist conditions today, and of course they causing some of the drama that we had yesterday with Primož Roglic taking a tumble very, very late on, and thankfully for him there was a 3-kilometer rule invoked during the day, and as a result he got the same time gap as indeed the rider he was with, so didn't lose any time. Something of controversy about it, mainly I think because of the propensity and indeed the chance that riders may indeed start to think about mechanicals in a situation such as that. There was nobody else involved. He basically lost it himself, the control of the bike, I mean, due to, I guess, the road surface, no matter what. But yes, a talking point certainly for deeper into the day. This looks like a big old perch pond for us, John, if you want to rent a rod.
Yes, the Lake Saint-Étienne-Cantal. We also saw a lovely image there of the Himalayan footbridge, which was built between, well, it's amazingly built during the years of the war by EDF, following the construction of the dam there. So yeah, started in 1939, completed in 1945, as we take a look at our winners of the stages so far.
Jonas Vingegaard on stage 11. He sits alone on page 2 of this. We're over the halfway mark of the race. 3 French winners so far. Maybe up for another one today, but it would probably be from a breakaway. And still with those link issues, I'm afraid. So as a result, we are seeing just some stock pictures from earlier on today. Sean, just that question about the tumble of Primož Roglic, and within the 3-kilometer rule, what's your view on it? I mean, a solo rider going down, there's a danger of opening up to abuse, surely, with something like that.
Well, normally the final yesterday, with it being such a difficult one, you'd expect the times to be taken on the line. But again, You know, they look at this, and safety is, you know, one of the things that they look at, and that run-in yesterday, you know, the difficult part was done, but again, it's all about, you know, being able to do everything in a Tour de France and try to win the race. You have to be excellent at all disciplines. That means going downhill as well as going uphill, and yeah, bike handle is so important, and we did see Primus just, you know, a little bit panicking, and when you're really fatigued as well, you know, in the end, and he had to put in a big effort, a big fight, and that's when you make these little mistakes and you can get caught out.
Here we go then, just under the 200 kilometres to go. Another very, very long day. We've got temperatures picking up today. Not much wind at all. Extraordinarily light. It's not even been measured for us just yet, but Roy McEwen will put a sword to that a little bit later on. In fact, when we looked at today, we thought this is a Robbie McEwen kind of day. And why not? A little bit grizzly at the top and then smooth later on. It's a bit like Robbie's career, quite frankly. And he's smooth as silk with us, but he was rough as you like when he needed to be in the cauldron-like scenario that is a sprint finish. Today, Sean, they say that it could well be the sprinters. It could well be a breakaway as well. Only two are taking the bait just for the time being, but it's not settled in the pack at all.
No, it's not settled, and we're into a section here, and the earlier part is not the most difficult, and it does pretty quickly now start to go uphill, and you know, there's a lot of lumpy stuff, little climbs there of 2, possibly 3 kilometres, and it's like that for quite a while, and that's where I think we will see the action really kicking off. But yeah, we see the two riders out in front, a very slim advantage, and it's going to be more fireworks. They have to be, because you know, they'll be thinking in the teams that have not got a sprinter for this sort of stage, they have to try in the earlier part and see will they be allowed to get the advantage to go all the way. But you know, when you get into that first 100 kilometres done, then it gets into that terrain where it will be for the sprinters. So they will be happy with this situation, just 2 men out in front, and that is the problem. You know, they will start trying marking now and not allow too many riders more to get across here, and if that is the case, just 2 men in front, well then it looks like that we could come down to a sprint at the end of the day.
Gachinard has got youthful exuberance on his side. He's just 23 years of age. He's turns 24 only in August. Yeah, he was very much part of proceedings at the French Nationals, got on the podium, and honestly, I think he might have had cheek cramp, quite frankly, because he was smiling so much at being in that position. Now he's at the Tour de France, and he's in the break. So he's doing a job for Total Energies, a team who have been blighted by the fact that, unfortunately, 11 of their bikes have been stolen. Not least, I'm afraid, Anthony Turgis lost his primary bike for this race, the bike he actually won his stage on, stage 9 into Troyes, the gravel stage. Also his first choice replacement. He's on the bike from the beginning of the season. He says it's running okay. It's not worn out by any means. Neither is he. He wants to get his head down, but I think he's making the best of a bad situation, Sean. Theft has bedeviled that team.
Yes, and it's not the first time in a race that we hear that the team trucks get raided and quite a number of bikes being taken, and yeah, not a good one for the team of Total Energies, and for the man who won the stage, Turgis. You know, he's on his third bike as such, but yeah, it will be a little bit of time before they get organised, get another supply of frames and build them up. So he has to try and get through today. Not the best situation, but a stage like today is not maybe one where it's going to be of major importance. If you have a very difficult stage where you're not feeling comfortable on the bike, meaning the mountain stages, because you know the long climbs and that would be more difficult. So he'll just have to try and get through today and see what way he feels on the bike, and you know, get some more new supplies.
Interesting. This, to me, with Intermarché Wanty doing some of the chasing, suggests that their little insight that they wouldn't mind being in the breakaway, Sean, maybe indeed that's what they're thinking. Only 2 riders up the road, that wouldn't be a reason to chase unless you fancied joining any moves that would be made to go and join it. It'd be good for them to implant somebody, wouldn't it?
Yes, well, that was what we were expecting, that they would try and filter into the breaks in the earlier part, and we did hear from the DS as well, with our people on the ground. They were asking the question, and they're riding on the front here, which is a surprise, because this is not what you do. If you want to get into the breakaway, you just, follow the moves and, try and filter into the breakaways. But they seem to be setting the pace on the front of the main peloton, which is a surprise for the moment to be doing that. It's not the perfect way to get into the breakaway. You just have to follow the moves, and we can see another man from Group AM FDJ getting out here, Quinton Pache, and they are a team who really need something in this race, because we see all the other teams and the French riders are getting great results here. I'm sure the pressure's on big time from Marc Madio.
Lotto just trying to mark it out at the moment. Lotto Destiny. Thinking about Arnaud Delis later on, but he's not shone as brightly as perhaps he should have done. Maybe putting in too much work at the wrong time. For the inexperience, it seems, Arnaud Delis, at least in a Grand Tour circumstance, done a bit too much too often, unfortunately, and has almost neutralised himself, despite some good finishes. But we're expecting a stage win for him. Could be today. Let's wait and see. But Lotto Destiny certainly working on it. We talk about the breakaway. We saw the breakaway on stage 18 last year, Moutier to Bourg-en-Bresse, when Casper Asgreen denied the sprinters. In fact, he was out there with Pascal Incorn and Jonas Abrahamsson, who we know everything about here. And it was Jasper Philipsen that led everyone home, given the same time as the three that crossed the line from the break. So it can get touch and go. There is Abrahamsson nursing the polka dot jerseys, by the way, with Tom Squinch setting it ahead of Campenaerts. Abrahamsson certainly looking for it. And is that Louis Meintjes?
Yes.
Who's bouncing off up the front here? I think it is. Not exactly the terrain you'd expect him to thrive, Sean, but hey.
Well, I think in the GC standings, of course, he's a long ways down, and he is going to try and get into a breakaway. And this part of the stage, as we can see, it's causing problems already for some of the fast men. And this is where it is going to be a test for the riders that do not like this earlier part of the stage. Try and get through, but we can see Fabio Jakobsen already in difficulty. And it's a surprise to see the likes of the riders that are going in the groups here. I was expecting Intermarché just to filter into their moves, but they're trying to make the move and try to split it and form a breakaway.
I feel so sorry for the nearly anonymous Fabio Jakobsen. He's not had the best of times at all, I'm afraid. This is Louis going up for the battle plan. Why are Intermarché wanting to be in the break? You've seen them trying to mark it out. It's because they'd quite happily have all the points go away on not an absolutely ideal finish for Biniam Girmay today. If the breakaway was to make it, it could be an advantage to Biniam Girmay, with sprint opportunities running out for major points gains for his closest rival. 74 points in arrears of him. Jasper Philipsen, who starts as favourite today if it ends in a sprint. And so, with everyone, of course, falling behind Biniam Girmay on Intermarché 1T, an out-and-out boulevard straight-up sprint finish is not necessarily the best kind of finale for Biniam Girmay. Yes, he's won a bunch sprint here so far. Gerben Tyson was the man that they were backing the day Binny took his first win into Torino. But yes, it could be that they're trying to play that game and get a decent breakaway off and up the road, hoovering up the points, and indeed diminishing even the intermediate sprint, if indeed it was to roll through that. Sean, it's a kind of an open strategy. They've already talked about it themselves. Is it a wise one?
Well, if there's a big group going away, meaning 6 or 8 riders, follow the moves. That's the way to do it. And with a rider like Louis Meintjes over this sort of terrain in the earlier part of the stage, he's able to do that. But making the effort to get across on your own, when you see the situation, just 2 riders dangling out in front, it's not the move. And he's starting to ride on here as well. I don't think this is the way they should be riding. If that is the plan within the team, that okay, follow the breakaway that's moving, but a bigger breakaway, of course, and you need a bigger one here. You need that 6 or 8 riders minimum to get over the first part and then get into the final, because the sprinters teams will start controlling in the later part of this stage. So it's going to be a difficult one for the breakaway unless you have a very strong, with a lot of powerful men up there.
Well, you can't keep a good man down, and they're still going for it. There are certain teams here who are badging themselves up for the day. This looks like a more concerted effort by a group of that's slightly more varied. They've killed off Intermarché, the first one, Zingler just trying to get himself into this one. We'll see who else wants to come and join it. This is not good news at all, Sean, for Fabio Jakobsen, who's struggled this race, I'm afraid.
Yes, well, he has struggled on the earlier days.
Yeah.
He was struggling a lot on the difficult, the climbing days, and he's struggling very early. I think yesterday he was looking, much better. He was in there for quite a long time during the stage. So it's a surprise that he is, distant again. And if you have not got the good legs, and if you're feeling a little bit sick for some reason, that is going to test you here today, because we can see the way the action is going all the time. There's just attacks coming back, attacking over the top again, and he is going to have to, really dig deep to try and get through this first part. If the break gets away, well, then it might settle down the peloton, and that would be an opportunity for Jakobsen to get into the peloton once again.
We had a furious attempt yesterday to get into the break. It ranged on for the first 100 kilometres, quite frankly. We did get, 12 or 13 riders who'd established themselves. Finally, they ultimately were to fail. But a lot of those who would try today, Sean, kind of hard to take it easy yesterday, naturally enough. But we're seeing fresher legs here attempting today, aren't we?
Well, I think there's some riders here.
Some doubling up, yeah. But
yes, but some riders yesterday, they got through the day without having to dig, really deep. They knew there were not any opportunity for them in the end of the stage, the way it was working out, and they can knock off the effort. And if you can knock off the effort, 40k out and come in and finish at 15, 20 minutes plus down, well, then you're saving a lot of energy if you're feeling good. But if you're suffering, as we can see this man here, well, then there was a lot of them riders there yesterday.
Do you know, he's having difficulty even just staying with his own car, for goodness sake. He's just dispensing with the bottle he was going to try and hand in. This doesn't look good. Yesterday, Fred Wright was clearly ill. He arrived, by the way, Fred Wright, for the start yesterday in his own transport, so not on the team bus. There was a couple of riders that happened to, unfortunately. Illness, Sean, there's no accounting for it, especially with COVID. We're not testing for that anymore. I imagine if somebody gets ill, then they will do so. But not blanket testing anyway. And you just don't know what's washing through a team at any one moment, as we are essentially still altogether safe for the forlorn Fabio Jakobsen. Sickness, Sean, it's something you have to contend with.
Yes, and we have been noticing within some of the teams wearing masks, and this concern there, because COVID, it is out there and it's around a lot. And when you're in that environment with the riders around the start, the team personnel as well, and also journalists coming about, all of that, there's always that risk. And outside of COVID as well, when you really have to dig deep in the earlier part of a 3-week race, at the level those guys are at, you're so open, the immune system is low, and you can pick up something. And we've heard already this morning, Murkoff did not start either for Mark Cavendish's final lead-out man, and we had quite a few yesterday. We see the Cofidis guys, 2 of them really in difficulty yesterday, which is something we were surprised about. Izagiri, for example, he would be one yesterday, he'd be fighting in the breakaway, but immediately difficult. And the same situation, we can see Jakobsen there, immediately in difficulty already today.
Is that John Degenkolb also trying to make this move? Can't quite see at the moment. Just rolling through. Yeah, certainly. He was so busy yesterday as well. He's showing himself to be extraordinarily gritty at moments such as this. Who's coming over? That's not what Poles, is it?
Yes,
coming.
Poles. Well,
Goodness
Poles.
me.
Yes. Well,
why not?
We can see here it is just
Mark Cavendish is up the front.
Yeah, wait around the front here and see what the position is, see what the moves are going, and they're not racing full on, but there's a lot of time to do that in this stage. But you can see, the peloton stretching out a lot, so that tells the pace is quite a rapid one.
One of Mark Cavendish's avowed ambitions, I mean, obviously the big one, hitting 35 stage wins on the Tour de France has been achieved, Sean, is to win as part of a breakaway, which he's never done on a Grand Tour, and he's marauding up towards the front. Now, in the absence of Mikkel Mørkøv, who is unfortunately no longer part of this race, just wondering whether Cav's public ambition might well indeed. May you give it a go, Sean? I'm not sure.
Well, I think today is a stage where it's going to be difficult for him, and yeah, it's always a difficult one for Cavendish. When you're a sprinter, to get into the breakaway when it's really lumpy, as it is in this earlier part of the stage, it's not an easy one to do. And on the flat stages, if you try and go on a breakaway, you know, then you get to the final, they're not going to take you to the finish because they're going to say, okay, Cavendish here, if we go to finish with him, we're going to be beaten. So they're going to give him a working over. So it is a very difficult one for him to get a win out of a stage in the Tour of France, especially because there's so much, you know, competition to get into the breakaway. In a smaller race, there could be a possibility. So I'm not sure if it's in the Tour of France or in any race. If it's in another race, well then if you go to some smaller race, end of season, there is a possibility there.
Yeah, precisely. Oh dear, what an amazing race it has been so far this year. It's been a pleasure to be in your good company, and thank you for joining us and choosing Discovery Plus and indeed all our wider cycling fraternity. It's wonderful to be able to host you. 2 minutes and 14 is the gap to Fabio Jakobsen as we come through Ruggiper. Just looking, it's actually quite strung out right now. Some narrow roads. It's going to be very different at the finale today, Sean. We've got basically a 1.2 kilometre drag race on a straight road all the way home. There should be plenty of space for lead-out train options, provided the day indeed offers us up as Campanarts just comes through and over the top. Wouldn't be surprised if he makes a noise today. Kwiatkowski also looking extremely lively, I must admit, to be in a breakaway today, and that might well be an option for Ineos Grenadiers. I don't think Tom Pidcock or indeed Ben Turner will be indeed taking it to the likes of Gamay and Philipsen at the end of today if it does turn out to be a sprint. Campanarts, again, the eternal Sean. He's always either on duty whenever breaks are being formed, whether it's to neutralise one or being there himself.
Yes, well, it's an interesting one again, because when you look at Lotto Dynasty, you would be expecting, you know, Alan Lee to get through this sort of terrain and then go on into the final. But again, we have seen Lee, you know, in the big sprints against the guys that are here, he has had difficulty. So maybe they're playing that card, okay, let's try and get into a breakaway, even form a breakaway. And that's what you can see with Campanarts. He's the one who's attacking, and you can see Bissinger is up here as well. Dillier also from the team of the fast man Albacin de Koning. So it's an interesting one, because you would expect Albacin maybe to be just marking here, but again, you can see a rider out in front here. When he goes in the move, it doesn't mean that they're trying to form a breakaway. They're just following. They could be also just trying to block things and slow things down.
Sivakov's birthday. I wonder whether he'll try and give himself a gift today. I think he's possibly got other duties still to come in this race. How much can you afford to spend on a day like this? A few incarnations then that we've had along the way. Stefan Kung up the road. That's a good man. Some good legs to have in a break, Sean.
Yes, well, we can see here, you know, the riders that need to get into the breakaway. We can also see Easy Post, EF Education. Costa is the one who's up here, and Nelson Paula's also very active here. The man who won the stage a number of days ago, Turgis, also in this move. So yeah, a lot of interest here. You can see the gap starting to appearing now, because we're on that terrain after doing, you know, quite a bit of racing already. It's starting to test the riders, and it's the strong men are going to appear in the front.
This climb that we're on at the moment, non-categorized, it's quite a drag, and it goes on for about 7 kilometers. So this is no small beans when you certainly have yesterday in your legs, Sean, as well as today.
Yes. Some riders are feeling the legs, and other riders are still, you know, feeling quite good here and want to race. And when you're in that form, well, then it's a great place to be. And this is a day where we can see, you know, Madouas, they're just going, and Group MFDJ, they have definitely got orders today. Okay, guys, we have to try and, you know, be in the breakaway and, you know, try and maybe form the breakaway, and that's what we're seeing here. But if you're suffering, this is a horrible start here, but if you're good, it's a lovely place to be, and you can enjoy it.
Well, I have no idea whether anyone could possibly take it on solo today. It wouldn't be the ideal scenario, that is for sure. Let us wait and see if that is indeed the case. I fear for Fabio Jakobsen today, Sean. It looks like he went back to the car and just said, it's not me today. This is not great.
No, it's not great at all, and we can see there's another man there also, you know, a little bit behind.
Just try and find your room there. Come on, mate. Come on.
That's always a forlorn thing, isn't it, Sean? Where you're just encouraging at this, with 183 kilometres to go. He's got a deficit of 3 minutes and 17. We've had the first hors delay in this race with Fred Wright, unfortunately, yesterday, who just burst into tears at the line, bless him. It's a hard game, this, Sean, we play.
Well, it's a race of the season, the Tour de France. You know, you want to come to it in your best condition, and there's always that risk of getting sick. And you know, we see the best of riders, you know, can get sick, and it is a problem here. And you know, when you're at this stage, at the early part of the stage, with the race going on out in front, and we can see for Jakobsen, you know, the race is going away from, you know, 3.5 minutes already. Unless this settle down in the next 15 or 20 kilometers, if it goes on and on, well then, you know, he'll be so far down, trying to make it into the finish, as we see with Fred Wright yesterday. Put up a great battle, but when we see him in difficulty at the earlier part, you can, you know, estimate that it's going to be so difficult to make the time limit. But they, you know, they continue on, they battle on. Those guys, they are, you know, a tough race, and but for Jakobsen, not looking good at the moment.
Time to welcome Robbie McEwen into the commentary position. Robbie, we said at the beginning of the day, this is your kind of day.
Well, it used to be one of the possibilities when I was racing, but a day like this always depends on a number of factors. One of the first and most important being is, do you have the legs halfway through the Tour de France, which it's already become evident that Fabio Jakobsen does not. He's actually, even as the peloton eased off for a moment, we were just rolling along, spread across the road, he was still losing time to them. So it's not looking good for him to make it all the way through today. Even if he does ride to the finish, it doesn't look like he'll be within the time limit. It is one of those days where I think the green jersey battle starts to have more of an influence on how things turn out. In this instance, with Biniam Girmay having was it 76-point lead, 74-point lead?
74, yeah.
74-point lead over Jasper Philipsen. I don't think it's really in Intermarché's interest to force a bunch sprint, put themselves in a situation where, yes, it's possible that Bini could win another stage, but he already has two. But to put himself in a situation where if Jasper wins and Biniam is second, that's another 20 points off his lead. I think it'd be tactically better for them to just float along. If it is a sprint, of course, you maximise your chances and try and win it, but you don't force the issue and give your nearest rival, no matter if it is 74 points, which is a healthy lead, you don't give him the opportunity, so you just don't help them. If they want to force a bunch sprint, you wear them down, make them use up most of their resources, including part of their sprint train, which makes them then more vulnerable at the finish. But yeah, a very attacking stage, because so few opportunities now for the attacking riders in this race on true sort of breakaway days, so they've got to make the most of today.
Yeah, kind of running out, isn't it? Good management of points is exactly what you need, and the pressure can get to a rider as well. Do you remember the battle between Kittel and Michael Matthews?
Yeah, yep.
for the green jersey, and to my mind, Kittel cracked, and Matthews was just nipping and tucking constantly, wasn't he? Reminding him he was there, and everybody else as well. And we were talking up a big game, and unfortunately, in the end, it wasn't played. Matthews came through.
Matthews came through, and it was Marcel Kittel actually just ended up crashing out of the race. He hurt himself quite nastily, but it was on one of those tough stages. And yes, it was an unfortunate crash. You can say, oh, okay, it's because he crashed. He didn't win green. But sometimes you end up in a situation like this purely through fatigue. Physical fatigue, but also mental fatigue, concentration levels lower, and then you find yourself the wrong side of a wheel, down you go and out the race. It is all part of it. And I don't think you should separate just the pure physical side from how exhausting this is for a rider's brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to talk about sprinting being in your head, just speak to Mark Cavendish. He's absolutely wired electrically. It's just phenomenal the way he manages to think through a situation very,
we've
very
had a
quickly.
crash.
We've had a nudge.
Speaking of.
Hopefully it's nothing more than that. Betty, you're caught up in it here.
Tadej Pogacar,
Somebody in the gutter as well.
yellow
Yeah,
jersey, Carlton.
it is indeed. DeLee there as well. Just everyone's they look annoyed rather than anything else, save for the centre of the road. That's the worry.
Is this Philipsen though? I'm not sure, but other riders from Alpecin to Koenig waiting, looking, grabbing the bike. We see Pogacar just getting a new machine.
You know,
Thomas.
Robbie, if
it's not Jasper Phillips in any case, but not looking good for that rider from Alpecin de Koenig.
Not
Not to
at
be
all.
one of the lead-out men.
sorry, we were the silent moment there was because we were absolutely squinting trying to see who it was. I don't believe it is Jasper Philipsen. It doesn't matter who it is. We hope that they are indeed soon back to their best, but that did not look good. We've started to get an increased attrition rate, Robbie, and it's down to the fatigue, I think, as well, that you've already been talking about.
But it's exactly what I just spoke about when
Yeah,
we were chatting
yeah.
about Marcel Kittel. Concentration levels, mistakes come at this point in the race. It looks like it's Jonas Rickard to me, the tall figure. We'll wait to confirm that, but it did look a bit like him.
Do you know what? It was only as it all cleared you realise that there are riders actually still stricken, and that is no nice thing in any regard.
And is Jonas Rickard the
what is
107?
he seeking here?
This
Water
is
from the
seeking
fan?
team car. He's stopping.
Yeah, he's done. Fabio Jakobsen is no longer part of this Tour de France, and it's just such a sad thing, to be honest. He came here with such great hope. Just coming to DSM.
Fabio is going to abandon the race. Fabio will abandon the race. We continue with our plan. We keep looking for these good breakaways. Come on, boys.
Fabio Jakobsen, there's so much about this man's history within the sport that kind of heaps extra sympathy upon him, Robbie.
It does, you know, going back to that crash where he nearly lost his life in the Tour of Poland a few years ago, and to the trials and tribulations we saw, the struggles we saw him have at the Giro d'Italia, dropped every day as soon as the road went up, and it was a bit of animosity here from the UAE riders asking for the team car and seeming to be blocked out. Rickard back underway, so that's good news for him and for Jasper Philipsen. But back to Fabio Jakobsen, it was for a lot of people questionable if they should bring him to the Tour de France, seeing as how badly he was struggling in other races this season already. He seemed to start redeeming himself in this tour with some higher finishes, a 7th and a 5th, which would suggest that, you know, with a few things going right for him, that he may be knocking on the door of, you know, battling at least for the victory, but it's not to be. And
here's that close-up moment a few minutes ago. Thankfully, everyone from this incident is back up and upon their bikes. Tadej Pogacar just irked by it, just couldn't quite get his chain back on, and you saw his patience just beginning to fray. Gives himself a bike exchange ultimately, just takes his data with him.
But not the bidon.
Yes, indeed. Is that what he was calling for?
Well, he's going to need. He's got one now. He's already got one, maybe from a teammate. Pascal Ackermann, one of the favourites for today, actually, was caught up in that crash as well. The German from Israel Premier Tech. We just saw the former German champion bands around the sleeves, and we saw the replay of that crash zone.
Sean, illness again, I presume, for the stricken Fabio Jakobsen.
Yes, it's an interesting one that, you know, he was struggling so early and not making an effort. We could see him there the moment he was distant from the main peloton. He didn't seem to, you know, to be putting in the effort. And that tells there must be some sickness there. And yeah, again, it's you know, a disappointing one. And as Robbie said, you know, Giro, he did suffer a lot, but he was showing signs here of getting better.
Do you think that Fabio Jakobsen, despite his difficulties coming to this race, Sean, was kind of brought here to try and reinvigorate him, and it's backfired?
No, I think, you know, they were keeping, you know, a close eye on him after the Giro, and I think they reckon that he was getting better. And when you see the results he had in the earlier part in the sprints of this one, it was definitely looking a bit better. And I was thinking maybe, you know, he's coming good and could get better as this race go on, and possibly, you know, get a sprint win here in the days that were left. But unfortunately, it's not to be. And yeah, it looks like that it is some sort of sickness, or maybe totally out of energy. But yesterday, I'm pretty sure it was yesterday, he was up there for quite a while in the main peloton. You know, that was looking promising as well, that he was getting better as this race going on. So it looks very much sickness.
Doctor's car's busy. Thankfully, it looks like it's scuffs for Rickett. Of course, you never like to assume too much, because often, Robbie, we get the injuries that are fully told at the end of the day.
We do. You know, riders we've seen, if they've got the possibility to get back on the bike, they do. And you ride on and you figure the rest out later, because most obviously the race doesn't wait for anyone. The race pushes on, and if you can get yourself going, you do. Sometimes it seems ill-advised, as we saw the other day with Alexander Vlasov from the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe team. He had that horrible fall into the ditch, was really off balance trying to get back on his bike, and I think it was reasonable to assume there was concussion involved in that instance as well. But it turns out he also finished that stage, the stage 9 on the gravel in Troyes. He finished that with a fractured ankle. It just shows you what the desperation level is of the riders to just get themselves back in the race, get yourself to the finish, try and push on and figure the rest out as you go along, or figure it out when the race is over and you can visit the medical team.
I remember some stunning performances despite all kinds of injuries. Geraint Thomas, I think, rode on with a fractured pelvis, if I remember rightly, and Cadel Evans with a broken elbow, for goodness sake. It's a game for hard men, Sean.
Well, it certainly is a hard men's game, and you know, when you look what they go through without having the crash of sickness, you know, every day here for 21 days out on the road here, weather conditions, it can get very cold if they get bad weather, and at the top of the mountains it can, you know, get down to 2 or 3 degrees, coming from 30+ degrees in the valley. And you know, the risk also involves those crashes when they go down, they get back on that bike, and you see the wounds. You can see, you know, Wout van Aert here, he had a very heavy spill yesterday, but back on the road, and there's quite a few riders in that situation. Bike riders, they are a tough race.
They certainly are. It's about hiding your injuries rather than magnifying them, which some other sports do. ...173 kilometres from home. And Valentin Madouas, Quentin Pacher. We have Jonas Abrahamsen, Anthony Turgis. Just seeing if that was an earlier incarnation. Just give me a moment. That's not nice. The American champion, Sean, bloodied but unbowed, heading back or in the cars, I should say, picked himself back up as well. And there he is, Sean Quinn. He's over a kilometre down at the moment.
Yes, he is, and you can see there the gash in the elbow. You know, it is quite a sore looking one. He's probably looking for the doctor's car to come, and they're probably busy as well with other riders maybe at the back, but we can see the way the peloton has knocked it off. Advantage going out, 2:24 to a 4 breakaway riders, and you can see, you know, riders just coming back into the rear end of the peloton. It's played into the hands of the 4 men out in front, because, you know, it did slow down a lot, but we did see Tadej Pogacar there. He looked quite unsettled, and we could see there with the motorbike he was, you know, given signals. It's an interesting one to see what the problem was, but yeah, we can see here the 4 out in front working quite well together.
This is an interesting, sorry Carlton, it's just an interesting dynamic where those 4 were going away. There was still plenty of action to come, I believe, when that crash happened, but because it involved the yellow jersey, we've seen the peloton just shut things down, which is a normal thing to do when the yellow jersey is involved in a crash. So it's sort of twofold. It's allowed these 4 to go away in front, which is, you think immediately, isn't that a piece of good timing for them? They've been able to get quite a big lead already, pushing out towards 3 minutes. that is sort of, yes, that's the case, but it's also much better for the sprinters and their teams because now it's only a 4-man break that will require chasing. That gap now is, I'd suggest, too big for anybody else to think, okay, yellow jersey's back, let's kick it off again, get it underway and start attacking. There's a group 3 minutes up the road. I'll be really surprised if it really kicked off and a counter-attack go and try and get across to it. So this now, I think, makes it a fairly simple chase for the sprinters teams who want to force a bunch sprint. Question is, will Intermarché be one of the contributing teams to that in defence of green? Will it be passive defence or attack defence?
So it's the eternal question, Sean.
Yeah.
Jonas Abramson, Sean, in the breakaway, he was, of course, with Kasper Asgreen when the break stayed away. Was tagged almost at the line when Asgreen won ahead of Incorn and Jonas Abramson. And he's been a master of being in the breaks. Turgis, no slouch, of course, either, having won from a break into Troyes. It's a strong breakaway, even though it's only 4.
It is a strong breakaway, but
it was only 3 back then.
Yes, but still, when you look at what's to be taken on board later on in the stage here, there's a long section, 100 kilometres, where it's going to play into the hands of the teams wanting to control. The question is, who will control? That we'll have to wait and see as this group of 4 goes out to 3 minutes. But it's definitely a good situation for the sprint teams that are thinking they want to get this back to a sprint finish here. And it's going to be an interesting one. How long will they allow it to go out? How far they will allow it to go out before they start riding on the front of the peloton? And which team will be the first one of the sprinters teams to take it up?
Just double checking on Abramson's deficit. He's wearing that polka dot jersey on behalf of Tadej Pogačar, who owns it after his exploits yesterday. There's only 3 points between them, and there's 2 Category 4 tests to come up. Sean, it was a wise thing for him to be up the road.
Well, he loves going up the road. We've seen him in this race, and as you said, Carlton last year is also in the breakaways. Like this year, he's amazing. The power that guy has got, and there was a day there where he rode out alone in front, and we were wondering when he got to, was it 5 minutes or plus 5 minutes, was he going to be able to go all the way? But again, the terrain and the teams that are riding back in the main peloton, it just didn't happen for him. But he doesn't seem to tire. He seems to be recovering so well, and there's days there in the past where you see him going in the attacks and riding in the front, and you wonder why is he doing that. But I think he has so much energy he doesn't know what to do with it.
It could happen, Robbie. On day 1, do you remember the run to Rimini where Bardet won? Abramson was up the road, and then he was up by there again in Bologna.
Name me a day where he hasn't been on the attack.
Can't help himself. Should be in the ring.
Wout, first, how do you feel? How about you? Because yesterday we were not really confident for today.
Yeah, luckily I feel, given the circumstances, quite good. I had a good night, and we could see yesterday there was no fracture in my arm, what I was a bit afraid for. It's quite swollen, and that's why I suffer a bit. But I'm good to continue.
What happened exactly?
I completely misjudged this corner. I was with my head already on the hairpin that was coming, leading into the descent towards the steep climb, and that was for us a key point to be in position. And suddenly I came in that left-hander, and only halfway through the corner I realized how tight it was, and then there was no chance to correct myself anymore. So
You probably see me now, but you want to try to sprint today?
Unfortunately, I think I will need this stage and maybe also tomorrow to recover from the crash. It's unfortunate because I think it's a stage that really suits me a bit harder, up and down. So I could feel yesterday my legs were good, and that's pity, but I have to listen to my body for now.
Thank you so much, Wout.
Wise words, Sean. Listen to your body.
Well, that's what you've got to do, and Wout van Aert, experience, he knows what he's got to do, and if you have that bit of pain, the soreness there, you have to just work to that and get a day or 2 days to get through, and hopefully it will get better, and that is what you're hoping. that is, it gets better and it starts to ease off pain-wise, and then, you look forward to the rest. But looking at that crash, like, he handled it very well. He had, far too much speed coming in. He didn't realise it was as tight, but, he just got up that footpath. He could have just went straight on and, smacked the curb into the barriers head on. So on looking at it, he came out with very well with the little injuries he's got.
Making the best of a bad situation, Robbie.
Oh, that sums up the Tour de France for some riders from start to finish.
True enough.
Wout van Aert, he almost got away with it yesterday, but yeah, in the end, he just came into that corner, and he, as he said himself, just way too hot and realised it was tightening up on him too much. Good skills to get up the gutter, but just ran out of room. I will not say he ran out of talent. It's an amusing expression, but
yeah, it's unkind.
I won't use it for Wout van Aert.
Let's dwell just for a moment, Robbie. Just wanted to get your
We're
opinion
weak
while
today.
we're
Gotta
all
eat.
together on air.
Sure.
Yesterday's Primož
Eating
Roglic
something.
crash, the 3 kilometre rule had been
More than I
invoked.
did.
But going down solo, not being caught up in an accident that was anything other than your own making, I'm a bit uncomfortable with it, I must admit myself, because I kind of feel it's open to abuse. If you look at team sprinting, for example, on the track, you've seen riders there deliberately crashing in the past just to get a restart because they've had a bad start. Your view?
Well, I
Would
find
it be open to abuse, is what I'm saying?
Quite a bit different to on the track, and I'm happy with it. I'm fine with it. He's lucky he was with Remco, and you could call it a group, but I think it's fine.